Hello and welcome to Track One, an accredited leader in background screening. You are invited to listen in on a conversation with the owner and chief operating officer of Track One, Mrs. Nancy Lynn Roberts, Esquire, as she explains the laws surrounding background screening. Now, Mrs. Roberts.
One of the questions we at Track One get asked a lot is, what are other companies doing with their background screening program or process? So I thought I'd address for everybody a little bit about how companies today are using background screening. We actually have some statistics to share with you. The focus of our statistics currently really are in the employment screening segment, because we've got some good data that came out of the National SHRM survey that was conducted in 2012. But I think it gives a good picture based on our client-based statistics of what generally companies are doing with screening in other industries as well. So first of all, one of the questions that we've looked at is, who are companies screening today? So 69% of companies are screening all of their employees. And only 18% said that they today are screening some of their employees. So I think that's a really good indicator that if you're looking at putting in a background screening program, or if you have an active program, you probably want to make sure that you are screening all of your employees, because that really has become the standard of care over the last few years. One of the other questions that companies often ask is, when should we do our background screening? Do we do it before we interview them, after we interview them, before we make a contingent offer, after we make an offer? What's the timing of that? So a lot of companies in the early years of background screening were conducting background screening before they ever interviewed someone. But what we find out today is that that has presented problems, liability problems, for a lot of reasons. And so 62% of companies today are actually conducting the background check after some form of contingent offer is made. So that would be post-interview and post-contingent offer. Now, we do still have 32% of the companies saying that they will conduct the background check after they interview the candidate, but before any kind of an offer is made. And only 4% are conducting any sort of background screening before an interview is made. Again, I'll tell you that over the past 5 to 7 years, we've seen a real shift in moving that to post-contingent offer, and I think that's a good shift. So one of the things you should be doing is making that background check happen after you've interviewed and after some form of contingent offer has been provided to the candidate. So the third question we get oftentimes from our companies is, how often should we repeat our background screening? Employment screening, so companies who are hiring employees or hiring contractors, for those purposes, what we're seeing is that screening is conducted annually by 67% of the companies that were surveyed. That is also consistent with what our client base is reporting as well and is doing. I will say that with nonprofit organizations, when it comes to their volunteers, we haven't yet seen that frequency become prevalent in the nonprofit arena, although I am a strong advocate for it. A lot can happen in a number of years' time, and a lot of these nonprofits have set standards of every 2 years, 3 years. We've even seen some say every 5 years, and we certainly always advocate for every year, not just because it's to our financial benefit as a screening company, but because we really believe from a risk management standpoint that the standard of care requires it. So I hope that helps on how often we should repeat our screening. So the next question that we want to answer for you is, what categories of people are typically screened by companies today? We see all categories screened. We see them screening at the board and the executive level. We see them screening their leaders or their managers, and certainly any professional staff that they have. We see them screening their employees and their everyday staff. We see them screening their contractors and their temporary staff and their vendors. We also see them screening their volunteers and their visitors. And finally, we see them screening people who are members members of their organization or visitors, such as parents. They're actively engaged with their organization in some way, or family members or residents of their organization. So really all category of people are being screened today where screening programs exist. So one of the other questions that we get asked is, other than employment and tenant and volunteer screening, what are some of the other reasons that people are using background screening? Well, wherever membership privileges of any sort are granted is a place that we see background screening in use today. That would be for medical staff or any sort of a social club or an association or a professional group. Additionally, we see background screening wherever access to property is given. That'd be your contractors, your vendors, your temporaries, your volunteers, your visitors, your residents. We see screening where credentials are issued. So if you're certifying, accrediting, licensing, or giving any sort of a credential to somebody, then background screening is in place. Ministry associations is another aspect of that. And finally, any place where risks are high. We've seen a lot of regulations and laws go into place to require background screening where vulnerable populations exist, or when confidential information is being exchanged, or just overarching high security situations exist.
Thank you, Nancy. If you have any questions about the information that Nancy's presented today on background screening, please call us at 1-800-600-8999. If you have enjoyed today's information and would like to receive or review this information again, along with a full series on background screening, go to track-1.com/videos and sign up for greater insights on background screening with Mrs. Nancy Roberts.